Hey everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift. Good evening, Veronica. How is the evening in Bali?
Hello. It's a beautiful evening here in Bali. The sun is setting soon.
Oh, I wish you could be outside somewhere showing us the beautiful sunset and the beaches and everything.
I thought about that. Like, should I take this outside? But Wi-Fi is tricky.
No, with all the technical glitches, I don't think so. We'll just stay right put.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome Veronica Kaulinis. She is the founder of Vulnerable AF, which is a global movement that encourages vulnerability, expansion, intimate, deep, and thought-provoking conversations in a safe space. Her work is inspired by authentic relating, nonviolent communication, transformational development, and embodiment practices. She's passionate about connection, collaboration, and community. She motivates women on how to love, how to be brave, and how to effectively, authentically communicate what they actually want. So, this is beautiful, Veronica. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me, for the beautiful introduction.
Veronica, so just before we start, I want you to lay the foundation for this conversation. How can one take vulnerability and empowerment in the same breath, which are quite contradicting? So please explain this to us and the viewers.
Mm. So, vulnerability is the gateway to deeper intimacy and connection. And ironically, it's one of our biggest fears, right? Vulnerability comes with so much risk, and it really takes something to be vulnerable, to be brave, to reveal your heart, to soften, right? So many women that I know, or the clients that I work with, are all entrepreneurial women, women who are motivated, confident, powerful, or are confident in one area of life, and then there's just other areas of their life where they're not so confident in. And vulnerability is often a big piece of that, because a lot of us have been conditioned to believe that vulnerability is a weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is what you actually do with your clients. That is amazing.
Yeah, I shift that.
The paradigm shift. Okay, so tell us, Veronica, let's start with your early days. Where are you from? What were your early days like, and how did all this shape up? How did things shape you
Yeah.
up?
So I'm from New York City, or from New York, Long Island, New York. I lived in New York City for a number of years, and now I live in Bali. But when I lived in New York, I always had this desire for something more, a bigger life. But I was afraid of doing that. Like I had all my circumstances. I grew up in a pretty tough neighborhood in Long Island, New York. It wasn't really easy to, pick up and go somewhere. And I didn't really have that belief, that mindset that I can live in another country. I never thought I can do that. And so then I worked really hard at looking good as well. So talking about vulnerability, like I always had this fear of really being myself, right? I was always this creative and had a fear of embracing my creativity, my heart, my truth, because I thought that wasn't enough. Or when I showed my truth or shared my truth, I thought that, something bad would happen. And I got bullied as well growing up in elementary school and junior high until high school. So I carry this belief that I wasn't enough. Or when I'm myself, I don't like it.
Right. Yeah. So, what did you basically like? When did the paradigm shift happen to you? Like, where were you? Were you always in this space of, coaching women or people, or were you doing something else?
No, not at all. So the paradigm shift happened for me when I was working in New York City, working in corporate. I had a really great job. And of course, living behind my mask of needing to look really good. Right.
Yeah.
I need to do the work or do the job that I think people want me to do, or that makes me look really good on my resume.
Right.
And I wasn't really happy. I was unfulfilled. I didn't, it wasn't the job that was really fulfilling for me.
Okay.
And when I started, the shift was when I just saw other people. I started doing personal development. I did a lot of trainings and courses, and I saw people creating their life and working from home. And I was like, wait, I want that. How do you do that? And it really me understanding it's a mindset shift. It's a choice. And it really takes you choosing what it is that you want to do and go for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So how did Vulnerable AF start? How did this come into existence?
So when I decided to become an entrepreneur, I quit my job. I went to Costa Rica for a month, did my yoga teacher training, and that was really the start of, wow, this new world, this new discovery of consciousness, mindfulness, personal development, growth, and I really loved this new world that I was really in. And still, and even though I became an entrepreneur and I started my coaching practice and I started really diving into this, I wasn't really living my truth. So there was still this, I'm doing it to look good persona. And then when Vulnerable AF started a few years later, which was 2019, came from me finally seeing, wow, the reasons why I don't have the connections that I want in my life, or I don't feel fulfilled in my life, is because I haven't been vulnerable with anybody. I haven't been real and authentic. And and then I was feeling vulnerable AF, and then I started Vulnerable AF, and it turned into what it turned into. And now I'm here. So
wow. So in your different podcasts, I've also heard that you have done a lot of other modalities. You just said yoga. What other modalities that you did you go through?
I learned leadership training. Did a lot of personal development and transformational work. Tantra, learned a lot of Tantra, embodiment, dance, somatic. What else have I done?
Beautiful.
Done practices that really help me dive deeper into my presence and my body, and my femininity.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, sorry, what was the last thing? What was the last thing?
Authentic relating too. That's my favorite. That's a big one.
Okay. Would you like to tell us a little bit about Tantra? What do you really do in Tantra?
Well, I don't teach it, but it's something that I love learning about and practicing it within my life, because Tantra is a study of energy. It's the balance between the masculine and the feminine. And it's energy. So
nice. And when you started Vulnerable AF as an entrepreneur, what were the obstacles and the challenges that you really faced during beginning this as a company?
So many. It didn't really, I mean, when I first started, it wasn't really, I didn't think of it as a company yet. It was just a way to build community and a way to build connection. And then it turned into my business when it started blowing up. And then I really started to discover how much I loved it. And the struggles were, taking something that you love and making money from it, and needing to constantly shed anything that's inauthentic. Shed anything that is goal oriented, right? and just really
Okay.
practice like living and embodying truth.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Go on. You were saying something?
I guess another struggle, I guess, as an entrepreneur is just sticking to one thing.
Oh,
It's
yeah. That is big time. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, because since you've learned so many modalities, you could probably okay, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but that
right,
becomes this. So living according to a purpose. Then Nisha Gupta says that. Yeah.
right.
So tell us, like when you were helping people, when you were going through this journey of vulnerable AF, do you remember any success stories, any stories that you would want to tell us that they're more relatable to us?
Yeah. Yeah, there was this woman, she came to a vulnerable AF one evening in New York and she couldn't even look people in the eye.
Okay.
She couldn't
Wow.
even, she was so shy. She had her head down the whole time. And then
Right.
at the end of the experience, she just opened up. And
Wow.
yeah, and then throughout, a few months later, she kept coming and attending, and then she met new friends, and then she just opened up because she shared her heart and she was more authentic and vulnerable.
Right.
And she,
Uh,
yeah.
okay. Okay. Veronica, do you also work with young children? I mean, teenage boys and girls. Does Vulnerable AF also work with younger kids?
No,
So this is like what is the age group that you're essentially looking at?
I work with people in their early 20s to early
Okay.
40s.
Okay. So, what exactly in Vulnerable AF, like you have your 6 weeks courses and all that, what exactly are the three, four things that somebody needs to kind of know that they are not authentic or they're not vulnerable? Like, what are those pointers that makes one qualify to come and take this course of yours?
Yeah, so my three pillars are vulnerability, awakened relationships, and courage. So, in
Okay.
that, what I really go into is desire, finding freedom in your desires,
Okay.
um, heart, heart
Okay.
design, heart connection, creating relationships by design, cleaning up
Right.
anything in the way or in the space between you and somebody else, right?
Okay.
Getting, yeah, and taking action and clearing up past relationships and finding freedom in your relationships, finding freedom in yourself, and then
Okay.
ultimately coming back to courage and the courage to love yourself, the courage to be with yourself, the
Okay.
courage to be with yourself or love yourself so much that you could attract a love into your life that embodies that same level that you've cultivated within you.
Okay, okay, that is beautiful. So there was this one of the things that you have mentioned in one of your podcasts was, you get out of this nice girl syndrome, people pleasing syndrome, and you learn how to say no. So, why I'm asking you this is that when you're in an Indian scenario, you live with a lot of people in your home. You have the in-laws, you have the spouse, you have children, you have the help. So when you are getting into this space of stopping this people pleasing thing, is it possible to strike a balance, of not hurting the person and saying no, not being not not bending backwards, but also striking a balance?
Yeah.
Did you teach that?
Yeah, I teach boundaries,
Okay.
and ultimately it always comes back down to truth, like
Right.
whatever's for you. If
Right.
you don't want to kiss your uncle on the cheek and you feel like you have to do it out of obligation and you're doing it because you need to or you think you should or you'll be a bad girl, then
Okay.
that's doing something that's misaligned and not in truth.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So I
just one
definitely,
second.
Yeah.
Right, right. There is one question. Do you think that there is a surfeit of toxic self-love on social media when people don't recognize the inherent patterns and how the inner work is necessary, which way we could be where we could be the toxic one? Oh yeah, self-love is going like really big on social media.
Just want to get more clear on your question. So you want to know if do I think that there's toxic self-love? You cut off a little bit. Toxic self-love.
It said, do you think that there is a surfeit of toxic self-love on the social media where people don't recognize the inherent patterns and how the inner work is necessary and where we could be the toxic one?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's easy to go online and look at what everyone else is doing and compare. Feel
Right.
envious, right? Use filters, right?
Right.
And I don't know if it's toxic, but it depends on what you're using your social media, what
Correct.
you depend on using your social media for, right?
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I think I love following accounts and following people that, really embrace connection, vulnerability, relationships, healthy communication. Like those are the people that, I really and want, or those are the accounts that I want to follow and what I look for on social media.
Right.
And yeah, unfortunately, there is hype or
Yes.
attraction to the things that don't really embrace being authentic and vulnerable because it's uncomfortable.
Correct.
So
Veronica, that, like when I first went through your podcast and all that, when you said vulnerable and when you said be vulnerable in a relationship. So, yes, you were saying vulnerable, be more authentic. But do you also think that when one is more vulnerable and when one is not, say, emotionally and spiritually strong, do you think that will be counterproductive, and do you think that could even hurt the person?
mm, so vulnerability, first things first, it is risky. There's a 50-50 chance that you're not going to get the answer that you're hoping for, and that's why it's so
So true.
courageous.
So true.
Yeah. So it's like you don't have to already be somewhere. It's just knowing that this truth is risky to share. And this truth is something that's in my heart. And if I don't share it, people may not get to see the real me. Or if I hold this back, this will impact other people, right? So when
Right.
you share something with the intention to create connection, all you just need to know is vulnerability is an intention to create connection and deeper connection. And
Do you?
yeah, it could hurt, right? And if it's something real, authentic and heart-centered for you, is it worth it? And it may be worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how has vulnerable AF, like, yes, you are motivating a whole lot of women. How has this helped you, like in the beginning or now or wherever? How does this help you personally?
Yeah, being more vulnerable in my life has helped me just discover deeper and more true parts of me. And it helps others feel me more and feel more
Okay.
connected to me and see me more.
Okay.
Um, yeah, and I'm in a beautiful relationship in an intimate and deep partnership with somebody who reflects the vulnerability that I give.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And has it also helped your professional life? Like you said, you do leadership programs and facilitator programs. So how does that help professionally as well?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think it's even more toxic when you see people just working at jobs they hate, because it would be, if they were really authentic, they wouldn't be working there, right? So being authentic as a leader, sharing authenticities in leadership spaces, it actually helps people trust you more, right? So if you're leading something, if you're a boss, or if you're a leader of a group, or if you're a teacher and you're not sure why people aren't really understanding you or don't really feel as connected as you'd like them to, right? I would check, is there something you're withholding from people? Is there something you're pretending? And actually sharing that helps people just actually see you more and feel you, and it makes you more relatable as a leader.
Okay, that is really nice. Also, there is one question. Courage is a choice, and when we get to choose courage, we invite uncomfortable situations. We need work through vulnerability allows us to forge friendships through learning from each other's experience. Absolutely. Natasha says hello. Atul says namaste. Yes. Okay. Veronica, tell us, what is imposter complex? You've been talking about it on your podcast.
Yeah, imposter complex is this facade, or this fake mask that you pretend to wear,
Right.
In order to be somebody else, or feeling like, or even that though you have all the skills and you have all
Right.
the knowledge, you still don't feel good enough. There's still
Right.
this underlying fear that, you're not doing well, or, who do I think I am? Why could I get this job? Because I'm not good enough, right? So that's like
Right.
living with this complex of feeling like an imposter.
Yes, absolutely. Also, tell us, there are times that on your website, on the points that there are there, you have mentioned couple of points that where you actually help. There is one place where you actually say that there are people who go through this, when you have to give in to have sex with partners that you may not want to. So how does that please explain at that point, how does one stop that?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, a lot of women grow up thinking that, they should do things out of obligation, right? Or there's silence here. So I guess the next thing to do is to do the thing that everyone else does, right?
Right.
Or, not feeling strong enough to say no to somebody, or feeling guilty for not having sex, or feeling like there's this
Right.
guilt, this conditioning, and this guilt that has been really celebrated, right,
Yeah.
in the world. And so what I help women do is I help them have better boundaries, and really, really take intimacy, like see or learn how to see intimacy as something sacred,
Yeah.
and learning how to really trust their desire. And maybe it's a no, right?
Right.
And if it's not a yes, if it's not a hell yes, then it's a no. So if more
Correct.
women knew that and stood by that, wow, the world would change.
Yes, absolutely. No, actually, a lot of women get into this thinking that, if I don't give in, then he'll move on, or he will move on to somebody else. So just to hold on to the partner or to the person that you are feeling attracted to, people give in. So do a lot of your clients tell you that?
Yeah, I work with clients who just don't understand what intimacy is. Like, they have this one view of intimacy, and that it's just sex, and there's
Right.
no connection, right?
Correct.
Or yeah, the guilt. Well, if we don't have sex, then maybe he won't like me anymore, right?
Yeah.
So they do things out of obligation. So
Right.
it's like, understanding like intimacy is also just as like deep connection is also just as intimate as sex, right? There's different ways of igniting intimacy. There's different forms of intimacy. Intimacy isn't only sex. It's conversation, it's energy, it's silence, right? It's touch, right? There's so many forms of intimacy. So yeah, and I think and women who I work with, you know, in the beginning, they only have this one sight, and they've never been able to really feel into their bodies and really listen to their body and understand, is this what I want? Is it what I want, or what am I doing what I think somebody else wants me to do?
Yes. Yeah, that is so true. Yes, Nisha says, yes, I've often felt this imposter syndrome. It is also about being inept. Yeah, and so true. Yes. So tell us, tell us about your program. Like, you have this 6 weeks program, which you run at Vulnerable AF. Tell us about it. Like, what do you teach in it? How do you go about it? Do you have follow-up lessons, follow-up, counseling sessions to see where your clients have, how they have progressed? Is that, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So my 6-week course starts next week, and it's a small group of women. It's an intimate group, and what we go through is really the start of desire, truth, how to be influential, how to really share what's underneath the surface, how to like love the parts of themselves that they have been pushing under the rug for a really long time, right? Bringing that to the surface, healing sisterhood wounds, connecting with other women, learning the concept of awakened relationships so that you can attract, high level love and partner in your life because you have developed a high level partnership with you. And then going into courage and, designing relationships and going deeper into intimacy and relationships and vulnerability. So that's our week, and it's a group program, and it's live, so live coaching, live calls, and it's all over the world.
So beautiful. And you also have follow-up sessions with these ladies to see, how they're progressing.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're in my community, like we're friends for life, and I also do one-on-one coaching, and my 6-week course.
Okay. And also you have a facilitator program. What is that about?
I did do facilitator trainings, and I'm not doing them anymore, or not for a long time, but I would teach people how to lead workshops online, how to be leaders, how to be facilitators, and facilitate workshops that encourage connection and vulnerability.
Okay. That is so beautiful. So, is there anything that you would like to, leave our viewers with, some message to the viewers so that, they can, kind of bite onto this and learn from this?
Yeah. What I would leave you with is, wherever you are is perfect.
Wow.
And the moment you start trusting yourself and revealing your heart is when life opens up.
Right.
So practice, just see vulnerability as a practice. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be messy. Love your mess.
Love your mess. I like that. Just before we end this interview, I just want to say that everybody that is joining us from Veronica Kaulinis' side, please follow the Paradigm Shift page. We bring you beautiful stories like beautiful Veronica here, who have a different message, who do things for the betterment of self and the society. We are the Paradigm Shift.co on Instagram and on Facebook, and everybody that is joining us from the Paradigm Shift, please follow Veronica's page on Instagram. We will be putting the links after this video has been uploaded, because she's doing some amazing work, and all her posts that come out every day are so relatable, are so true, and so it's like so real life. Every time I read your post, it is something like, yes, I have been there, and I have,
Mm,
yes, I have been, not being authentic, or yes, I have been vulnerable, and yet, you are in a position where you cannot, show your authentic self or whatever. Like you said,
yeah.
it is risky. So they are beautiful, beautiful posts, and we will be tagging her Instagram handle, which will be really good. We will be uploading this interview onto our Instagram page as well, so it will be available for everybody. Yeah, just checking if there is. Okay. So, Veronica, anything else that you want to tell people about your course, or about being authentic, or anything?
No, I don't. I don't think there's nothing more to say. If you have any questions, if you liked anything that I said in this interview, or if you want to go deeper with something else, just let me know. Send me a message. I'm friendly.
Yes. Yes, so we will. Yes, you can DM Veronica, because once we'll be tagging her, you can DM her and ask her, and probably get on to her courses that are going to be starting soon. So thank you so much, Veronica. This was such a pleasure speaking with
Thank
you. It was very, very good. Have a lovely evening. Thank you, everybody. Bye
you.
bye. Bye,
Bye.
Veronica. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.